Let's get down to the more specific point. Why did you choose this rather odd and something that's never been done before, this curious and debased love?
Well, I think it was, on the whole, it afforded me all kinds of interesting possibilities. I'm not so much interested in the philosophy of the book as I am in weaving the thing in a certain way, in those intergradations and interweavings of certain themes and sub-themes. For instance, the systematic line of Mr. Quilty, whom Humbert will kill, and does kill, and whom Humbert mentions as early as page 33, and so on. And he appears several times throughout the book. Putting him into the book.
But you must have read in a newspaper or been aware of this strange sexual symbolism or this oddity in a minority of humans which has shocked so many people about Lolita.
I have read a considerable number of case histories. I would say that I became quite an expert in those matters. I have not combined them for the purpose of writing the book, but they have influenced me in one way or another, just giving me certain information.
Mr. Trilling has a very intriguing theory about Lolita. He thinks it's a return to the old kind of romantic, shocking love, but I'll let him explain it, and I'd like to hear what you have to say about it.
Well, Mr. Burton, it isn't quite to be dignified by calling it a theory, but my reading of the book led me to feel that despite the judgments that a good many people have made on it as a book about sex and sexual obsession, that although it is indeed a very erotic book, a very sexual book, if you wish, it is not a book so much about an aberration as about an actual love, and a love that makes all the terrible demands that almost any love makes, certainly that any sexual love makes, but that is very full of tenderness and very full of compassion as well as passion. And it occurred to me to say that this particular love, Mr. Nabokov had chosen as the love object of his hero a young girl, someone who is usually preserved from the sexual attentions of men, a very young girl of 12, as I recall, because he wanted to reconstitute that the shocking nature, the scandalous nature that once used to characterize the famous love affairs, the love affairs of great stories.
Love should be scandalous and is no longer scandalous? Is that what you're trying to say?
I don't think that love should be scandalous. I'm a very respectable man. I think that all the great love stories have been scandalous. For example, they have been adulterous. There have been stories not of love between married people, but between people who ought not be in love.
Let me interrupt you here and let Mr. Nabokov have his say here.
Yes, well, it seems to me that all worthwhile novels, after all, are concerned with passion, love, and apart from Humberts and the Nymphids, there does exist, has always existed in novels, as well as in life. If you take a novel, take Anna Karenina, Tolstoy's Anna Karenina with Kitty and Lovey, which have a relationship, you see, also in ordinary life in Europe and America, which may be termed passionate love, glamorous love, within the terms of normal marriage. So we have that too.
Yes, we do, but that is not...
They don't make books, isn't that your point?
It's not called Kitty, it's not called Levin, it's called Anna Karenina.
I'm not sure that I think that Kitty and Levin are just as alive as Anna is, and a rather, dummy-like Vronsky.
Yes, but it seems to me that all great love affairs are tragic. They all end in death. As yours does, and
I would put it this way: that if sex, you see, is the servant maid of art, love is the lady of that tower.
What Mr. Trilling is saying, I think, is your book is about love and not about sex.
And I agree with him perfectly in that.
But a great many people who are shocked by this book think it is a book about sex, right?
Yes. And because it is destructive, and because the love is destructive or cruel or many other things, it is no less love. In fact, that is why it is love. Love is often is these things very often.
Because they think in cliches. For them, sex is something so well defined there's a kind of gap between it and love. They don't know what love is, perhaps, and perhaps they don't know what sex is either.
Has sex become a literary cliche so that people can't recognize anything else?
I'll say yes.
Yes.
Will you say yes?
And well, I have to agree with you.
Let me ask you one last question before we close, Mr. Nabokov. You've put a word in the language, nymphet. Is this going to be your monument? Do you feel that you've accomplished
It
something?
is a very small monument, but it is a delicate monument, and it is pleasant to have it somewhere in the garden, in the shade.
It is a word that is cropping up. You must see this word starting out at you.
I see it constantly. I see it constantly, and it is a pleasant feeling.
There'll be nymphet clothes very soon.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Trilling, Mr. Nabokov, talking about Lolita.